Hello everyone, welcome back to another DIY video where I'm gonna show you how I made this book display case. The idea came from something I'd seen on Pinterest. I just wanted a display that I could take with me to markets and craft days that was simple, and therefore I came up with this framework. Pretty standard frame with 3 shelves. So in this zoomed in version, you see that the angle is tilted, so just by 10 degrees. I made this decision because I wasn't going to provide front support, so the books had to lie back and lean on something. Those big boxes are actually the size of our biggest planner that I put there just to test it out. This is the outline of the piece of wood that I had, which was 2.1 by 0.3 meters. So the challenge was to make sure all the pieces fit on the one piece of wood. So this is basically what it looks like when you unroll it and just give the dimensions of each of the pieces. The wood was 1 inch thick. I then made a drawing with the accurate dimensions, and that's what I sent to the carpenter to cut out. So these are the pieces of wood. They've been cut, and as you can see, we planned for 3 of those and 3 of those, then 2 of each. However, the piece of wood that was there was not big enough to have enough. So what I might do is compromise and end up doing that to be 3 and that. We're going to see how it goes, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking for now. In the meantime, we can start. If I'll need to cut another bigger piece, then I'll have to eventually. So let's get started. We are going to start with the pieces for the 2 triangles. So this is them basically, that's why there's 2 of each. And I think from what I drew, what I did in my drawing, there's the longer piece where the shelves will kind of be on this side, and then there's this piece which I believe sits here to do something like that, right? So I've been racking my brain over the best way to put this together, and because it's a bit thick, well, ideally I think I would use like PVA to be fair, because PVA is neater, but I want them to be stable because I might end up screwing them. I'm not yet even sure about that. And I think a hot glue gun just sits fairly well. What I don't like about it is because it's super, what's the best way to say it? It creates a bit of a gap because obviously it has, you know, form to it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm just going to use a hot glue gun to put this together. So this is the rest of it, and this is how I'm going to lay it down. Ideally, this was the typical arrangement I'd planned for. The wood is a bit thick and it's hardwood, so it's a little bit heavy, but I don't want to make it any thinner because then, you know, it will be, I mean, it could do with being thinner, but well, this is what we have to work with. So this is a typical arrangement. I have a 85 and this is about 30. This is the 85, this is 50, and then these are 250s, because ideally this was the typical arrangement for all of them. It was supposed to be an 85 and 50 for each one, but I almost did 2 that were 85 and 50, but last minute I thought, why not really, you know, go the full stretch and mix it up so it really looks different. So these are the screws that I have. Yeah, I just went around and these are the ones I have readily available in this house. So these are about 4 centimeters, yeah, which is about 1.5 inches. So ideally, how should I show you? So let me put the wood this way. As you can see, they will kind of go in, right? But what I might do is I'll probably first drill a hole, because let's assume I'm going to put this like piece here, it will join, but I'm just going to drill a hole first because I don't want this to kind of be left too much on the surface. I want it to go deeper. So I'm gonna screw each one 4 times. I hope I actually have enough screws for too. So as you can see, this wasn't planed very well, but so I'm going to put that at the back in a way. Ideally this will sit like this, correct? Yeah. So I'm just gonna measure from the back to see where I'm gonna drill if I'm doing it. So this is the drill bit I'm gonna use in my drill. If I'm being honest, it's not fully charged from the last time I used it. It's good practice to just charge it every time you use it and blah blah blah, but I didn't. So I just got this palette out to act as my table, and also because I didn't want to be drilling onto the carpet. Obviously I don't have a workshop table, so in case someone wants to gift me for Christmas, that's a good gift idea. So now we're finished drilling the holes, but before we join the pieces, we're going to glue them. Otherwise it might get a bit imprecise. So here we are. We have our 3 shelves, and we also have our triangles. Remember, the shelves are going to be sitting that way. So the first thing I want to see I might have to drill in here just so it's well connected, because I really don't trust this glue to be enough. In the same way, I'm going to drill in here, maybe at an angle. Yeah, thereabouts. So I'll just have to mark it at approximately the same place for both of them. So I had to get rid of the palette because it was too big. And what I'm going to do is, before I screw anything, I'm going to glue one by one where they should be, where I think they should be. So as you can see, they're clumped on both sides, and if I had 6 clumps, I would clump all of them at once. But I'm going to leave them to dry, then screw, then move on to the next, like that, so that we keep going. So guys, Christmas presents or any kind of present, some more clumps would be amazing. So I want to understand where I'm going to drill from. It's a bit tight. I wanted everything to be at the back so it's clear. However, it seems like it's a bit short. Let me try and zoom. So if you see the screws that I have will only get up to there, which is not bad at all, except if we had drilled from the top. If we drill from the top, it will go in a bit further. However, I didn't want you to be able to see anything from the top, so let's see how we can resolve that. I actually came back and I tried to flip it over so I could screw from down here going this way, and it literally flew off. And also when I tried to get in the angle, it was impossible. So I'm going to just screw at the top, and we'll figure out a way to make it pretty still. So there we go, that's screwed in on that side, and that's screwed in. I'm hoping 1 screw is enough. What I'll do, I have my mallet somewhere, is I'll just bang this just so it lines up with this. While this is drying a little bit, now that we know it's all going to be at the top, I'm gonna go ahead and screw those in as well. So far this is where we are. We've put 2 of the shelves and I was just testing, and it works. So this is where we are now. All 3 shelves are on. It's looking pretty decent. This is the back. And yeah, as you can see, I'm testing it out and the things are sitting nicely. I was really worried about the sizing of these smaller ones, but I think this is the smallest and it will hold things like cards and these decks, whereas the bigger things will sit on the one that's deeper, on the deeper shelf. So works out just fine. This is what the shelf looks like so far. So you can see it's quite big. Ideally, it's okay. Advice already to myself and for anyone who tries to make this, you need a bit of bracing. Why? Let me show you. So either bracing or screwing a little bit more, because it can, right? Which is not bad if you're not putting any heavy things on it. However, either you could brace in the sense that you also have a center triangle, or you could have like a diagonal from one side to another, or you could just keep screwing more, add more screws basically, so that it's sturdier. Or actually, which is probably the best option, use a nail gun or use nails, because you know screws are once again screws, they have that flexibility, and that's why. So the next thing we're going to do is to basically put the clear finish on it, and I'm going to use Peacock clear finish that I'm going to show you shortly. But in the meantime, this is, for example, some of our stuff, and you can see it sits perfectly on here. Let me see, even here it kind of sits. So this is a bit tougher because the backing is shorter, so that's what I meant earlier. This is the varnisher I'm going to use, so it's from a local company called Peacock Paints. And if you've watched my D.I.Y palette video, then you know it's the same one that I used, so it doesn't change the wood too much, which I like. It's just really for protection, and yeah, just to give it a little bit of a glossy finish. So once you're done, leave it to dry for as long as it needs to, and this is what it looked like when I took it out for the first time. I hope you enjoyed this. Please don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.